continuing to question the narrative. Wanted to add on to my post yesterday for those of us that are questioning what's going on and are posting maybe counter thoughts to the mainstream narrative. Now, 2 points I want to make. First one is about you and I, and maybe where we're coming from and getting really clear on that. And then the second is, I think, the most important thing that we should actually be focusing on in these discussions. So, number one, a lot of these comments you likely have received back, I know I have, is this idea that, I'm not compassionate. You don't care about old people. You don't care about those who are sick. And obviously, I know for me, myself, that couldn't be farther from the truth. It has nothing to do with that. I am incredibly compassionate to those that have been ill, to those that have died. And my compassion extends to those that have been affected, like the elderly, the most vulnerable population who've been left alone. They've been left isolated. My compassion goes out to those that have lost their livelihood, their very reason for living, their purpose for showing up and being alive in this world. My compassion goes out to the children who have had such fear driven into their hearts. My mother was telling me about someone that she knows who their daughter was outside and started to cough because of the smoke, and this poor girl just burst into tears because she felt she had COVID, and they had to sit her down and walk her through, okay, this is from smoke, this is from COVID, and really had to kind of quell these deep fears of this young child that has been so conditioned and susceptible to the fear mongering that is going on. So compassion absolutely is there. So let that go. I know you know that, but that is one of the arguments that people will use to shame. It has nothing to do with that. If you question what's going on, it's not from a space of not being compassionate. It's not from a space of being not caring about people and about life. I think it's, for me, and I'm very sure for you, it is the opposite, in fact. And here's the second point, which I feel is the most important part of this conversation, is we should be focusing on and questioning the actions and the kind of policies and mandates that the government, the media, the industry is taking amongst all this. Be extremely vigilant about freedoms being lost, about bills being passed. I found it rather suspicious when Parliament was shut down, right? Like from May to September, it's about to reopen, but really, like, we had to do that. You're so scared of the virus that you didn't even want debate around it, and yet school children, they went back to school first before politicians went back to work. Maybe there's an ulterior motive, right? Why no debate? Why no, what kind of leader would send school-age children back into an environment that they supposedly feel so scared about entering? Maybe there's a conspiracy there, maybe there's not, right? I think one always needs to question the motives, right? Question the money with this, follow the money, all this money that's being poured into certain areas, how certain individuals, very credible, are being censored. Why is that, right? Is that reasonable? The police force, how they're being instructed to handle the public and enforce these measures in Australia and now increasingly in other places of the world. Is that reasonable? Is that justifiable? Is this really about your health, about your safety? And there are big questions we need to ask. Again, is this some sort of big grand conspiratorial thing? And also, each of us individually needs to get really honest about our situation. I know so many people, as I'm sure you do, who have not returned to the office, right, under the pretext of COVID. Well, if we're really honest with ourselves, probably more likely it's easier, it's more comfortable, maybe it's more efficient, it's probably costs a whole lot less, right? And that's actually our true reasons for doing that, not continuing under this pretext of, oh, it's COVID, especially when you send your children to school and you're placing them in that type of environment. And if the quicker we can all get really clear about our motives, again, not everything is being questioned as some big grand conspiracy, right? It's a lot of this is been happening through overreactions, through being over precautious. Who knows, right? So get clear on our own personal individual motives, as well as try and decipher and ask of kind of authorities what their motives are truly. So anyways, felt that was important, wanted to share that. Let me know your thoughts.